It's Todd Burrier from toddburrier.com. Have you ever had someone not show up for a meeting? If you've been doing the business for a while and you're doing any kind of meetings, the answer would be yes. And maybe you say, well, no, Todd, I don't really do meetings. I just work by the internet. I work via video. I work via phone call. Have you ever had someone not show up for a phone call? The answer would be yes, right? So here's the first thing. It doesn't matter how good you are. It makes no difference how good you are, how great you are at getting a commitment, getting a recommitter, of qualifying people. It doesn't make any difference. You're going to have people no-show for you, right? They're going to no-show on phone calls. They're going to no-show on Skypes. They're going to no-show on one-on-ones. They're going to no-show on in-homes. They're going to no-show on big meetings. They're going to no-show on conference calls. They're going to no-show on webinars. You're just going to no-show, right? And you know what? That's not on you. That's not about you. It's typically about them. And here's some encouraging news for you. It's a good thing. And the reason I say it's a good thing is you can pick up a book or go to a big, networking function and see a lot of successful people or read about successful people. And guess what? Those people have had more no-shows than they can count, right? Because that's how it works. I mean, the amount of no-shows I've had in my career is uncountable. I can't count them all right? I can't count how many times I showed up for an in-home and then nobody was there. Hundreds, thousands, I don't know, a lot. How many times I had stood up for a phone call, stood up for a one-on-one, stood up on webinars, stood up on conference calls. That's just part of it, right? You have to expect it, right? Expect people to be people, right? As a matter of fact, for me, it's like, okay, you just told me something about yourself, right? You told me you don't keep commitments, right? It's one thing to call and say, hey, I can't make it. This is what's happening. And okay, that's fair. But to just say you're going to do something and not do it, to me, that doesn't speak highly of your character. That's how I look at it. You might think that's a little harsh, but hey, if I say I'm going to do something, I do it. I'm known that way. And you should be known that way. And if people aren't going to meet your standards, maybe you don't want those people in your business anyway. I'll tell you a quick story just to give you one, tell you how painful it was for me once. I was on my way to do a meeting in Cleveland, Ohio, and this is back in my borrow from one credit card to pay the other days in building my business. I didn't have any money. We were just figuring a way to scrape it along between, my wife and I and our kids. And man, it was tough. It was a tough times, but I was out there working and working and working. So I drove to Cleveland, Ohio, which was a 6-hour drive, did a meeting. And then the guy at Cleveland and I went up to Toronto because he promised me there's going to be a huge, huge meeting there, that was all set up and that, I was coming in to be the speaker, not so I could tell him how much I was struggling, but so I could tell him what was possible, that I was working towards. And so we, make the drive to get to the Canadian border. I got all kinds of products and stuff in the back of my car, and I must have said the wrong thing at the border because they pull us over and they take everything out of my car. And they charge me $500 to get my car back so that I can drive to this meeting, which I didn't have, but that was just part of the story now. And so then I drive to the meeting. I have to pay for a hotel room. And how many people show up? Got a lot of chairs, like lots of chairs, like, I don't know, 60, 80, I don't know, a lot of chairs. One guy shows up, right? So think about that. It was just part of the process to me, right? So yeah, it was painful at the time, but now I have the story and I have the lesson, right? And I can teach it. So here's how you prepare. Here's how you prepare for it. So if it's a one-on-one, right? Let's say you're going to go meet someone in a coffee shop. Don't go without taking work with you, right? Nowadays, you can use your cell phone and probably have a million things you can be doing just with your cell phone. So, but be purposeful. Anyway, have a plan for if they don't show. Another thing you can do is double book those, right? You could double book a one-on-one into a two-on-one, especially if you're doing cold market stuff and you really don't know these people very well. And so what? You can double book. That was not my preferred way of doing it, but I had done it before. So you could do that too, and that increases your ratio of people coming. The second thing is for big meetings. If you're going to run a bigger meeting, let's say you rent a hall or a space in a library or a hotel or whatever you do, and you're gonna have a venue and you expect anywhere from 50 and above to come to this thing, make sure that the room you get, if it were to fill up, right? So if the number you expect actually came, you want this room to be overflowing if that happens. So get a room a little bit smaller. This is for opportunity style stuff. This is not for a training meeting or a seminar. That's different. I'm talking about for if you do stuff from an opportunity perspective, if that's in your business model, then make sure you have a room that's too small. That's just it. And don't fully sit the chairs out. Have chairs ready to put down, but better that you're coming and putting chairs down than you got tumbleweeds blowing between different chairs, even though the room is half full, right? So a half full room, if you only have that number of chairs, suddenly is a full room in the eyes of the people there, and the energy matters. If you're doing an in-home, same thing. Prepare for less than you expect. Prepare for less. I know that seems counterintuitive, but that's you want people to get the vibe. Hey, that's cool. There's more people than this is great. This is a good thing. I want to know more. So, and here's a really kind of a simple lesson, and I learned this long ago. I don't remember where I heard it, but a guy was telling a story from a stage about a farmer, and the farmer says, hey, when I ring the bell for dinner, for the cows to come in, I feed the ones that come, right? And that is your perspective as someone doing a presentation. So if you're doing an in-home or you have someone coming to do one for you or whatever that is, feed whoever comes, right? If you get one, you treat that one like they're the greatest person in the world and give them your all. Let them learn what you have. And then take it from there. All right, so I hope that's a little bit helpful. Don't be discouraged by no-shows. You're going to have them. Expect them. They're part of the journey. Thanks for stopping by.